Hi, Andrea. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
That was so fake. Welcome. I forgot the name of our show. Welcome to All About the Joy, the private lounge. Well, I'm getting used to this new thing, you know what I mean? And I'm so excited about it. And I don't know if you were able to catch last night's show, but I let Rick know that that was the highest, and it's only been like 4 days. It's the highest podcast audio. And for me on YouTube, the highest, most viewed was the last private lounge I did.
Nice.
I know, weird,
Interesting.
right? Well, it's so funny because Rick made a good point. He was saying, like, I think it's because the word private. I'm like, hey,
Probably. Everyone's
whatever
like, ooh,
works,
let me get in on that.
whatever works. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
sex. No, I'm just kidding. Like, we could like, make it like a whole other thing.
Sex, sex, sex.
Right? And people gonna be like, yeah, no, you know, but yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But thank you for joining me so that we can have one of our really good private conversations. And I know we had a subject matter we were going to talk about, but I'm in a bad mood, and I would have called you anyway, but I think I need to just vent it. And if it doesn't work, I'll delete it out. I don't know, whatever. But first, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm tired and I can't believe it's February and I'm ready for the weekend and I don't like the rain and
Yeah.
that's where I'm at today.
So the reason why I'm in a bad mood is because I'm tired of rejection. I'm tired of rejection, right? And I was thinking about this earlier. First of all, I made the big mistake of opening an envelope. And as you know, I am trying to get more funding because even though people think this is just something I throw together, and I don't know, this costs a lot of money and time and it's exhausting. And I love what I'm doing with All About the Joy and it's really taking a foothold. But I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can get a little bit more money. And I'm so tired of the struggle of just trying to get. I'm not even asking for like free money. I'm not asking for like, grants or whatever. Just getting an increase in a loan or getting a personal loan. And here's the thing, I have good credit, I have good income, and it doesn't matter. It's like you really have to have somebody, I don't know, fight for you to get these things, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm in a place now in my life where I can just go online and do it online and ask for the increase and da 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 da. And so I opened up that letter and I was like, I'm tired of people saying pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like stop saying that
Yeah.
because there is nobody else who is more indicative of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps than you and me right here now. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know any other two people on the planet who grew up the way we did in different worlds. But same kind of struggle, crap. And I'm sorry to throw you into this. I'm just, we're just
I'm sure there are some, but yes, like we've
um
worked our asses off and tried and done all kinds of,
but
things
even,
to try to.
you told me about the student loan thing to like turn around and go do it on the save plan. So I went and inquired about that. And so there's that part of it too, right? So I talk to my people at my place, and then I call, and I was on hold forever over at the federal student government, whatever
Yes.
thing is. And they're like, yeah, if you do that though, we're going to increase what you're paying right now interest wise. There's
Right.
no guarantee it's going to be
Right.
forgiven. And I mean, it's likely, but they're not saying that they're going to because you might not qualify for it. And then they're like, what was the other thing? Oh, there's some penalties and fees for moving it over to begin with, right? So I'm like, I don't know why I'm going to do this then. Like, I get it, but I'm tired of the struggle. I'm exhausted. I'm
Yeah. I mean, just even what you described, you took like a minute to describe it. I'm sure it was days, hours and hours and days of thinking about it, working on it, sitting on hold, talking to a person, comparing the information. Like you have to put in so much time and energy just to maybe get a break.
Yeah, maybe get a and I think for me too, I think like I opened up the letter today about the loan, right? Being rejected on the loan. And uh, we're not even talking about a lot of money here, by the way. We're not like, and this is the hard part. I work with people who spend 50 grand on their American Express bill per month on bullshit and can get a loan easily, you know? And I'm sure there are people who are going to be listening, be like, well, that's a different circumstance. They have this, they have, I know. Like, I know. Like, that's my point. Like, when you come from nothing and you have nothing and you're trying to build something, you need that break. And the only thing I know for sure, and of course my eyes are all watery, whatever. It's like you don't get used to rejection. You just get better at trying to stand back up. Right? Like that's what I realized. Cause usually I'd be in a ball crying, like the world is unfair. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's exhausting because it's like, this is when I'm like, you know what? Why am I doing this then? What's the point? I know I love it and I want to do it. And I think it's helping people. And we got some new followers and we got some new listeners or whatever. But I am working a whole other job on top of my already crazy job. And I can't do it all myself. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's just a weird thing. I don't know. How do you deal with rejection? I mean, you're probably never rejected, so you don't know.
No, I'm rejected plenty. I kind of internalize it and like at least or externally move on fairly quickly, but I can feel the stress in me in the way that I interact with people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It just gets me really down, and there are all kinds of things in the world that get me down, so it's almost hard to differentiate like what is this
Right.
one about, right? Um so I just withdraw until I can kind of build my energy back up. You know how, it's like you haven't heard from me in 3 weeks. It's like I'm just dealing with my shit, you know.
Yeah.
Um
Because you and I are different in that way. So
mhm.
I tend to, I will let everyone know. Like if I make a lot of money or I have a lot of money, I let everybody know. And if I ain't got nothing and I'm getting screwed, I'm gonna let everybody know. Like there's no really kind of me internalizing it. Like
Yeah, I'm just a lot more private, and I honestly, truly, if I'm stressed and upset or whatever, I tend to kind of like dissociate. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go sit in the corner and read a book and like check out of everything that's happening in my life right now.
yeah, and I'm not that. I mean, I don't want to say emotional because you're emotional too, but I wear it on my sleeve or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and I get incensed because it's unfair. And look, at life isn't supposed to be fair, so I'm not delusional about that. But it's exhausting. It's exhausting to keep trying. And as much as I love like Gary V or all these people that I love listening to, and I know that they're right, I don't think it always works out for everybody. I
No, it
don't
doesn't.
know.
It doesn't. I mean, that's
Mm,
that's what we're sold. And, definitely the people that make it, like, it worked for them. So that's their experience. You know what I mean? And like no shade or whatever to them. It's like I just like kept at it and kept at it and it worked for me. And it's like, okay, awesome. But there are for sure there's like a whole crowd of people behind them who worked hard and kept at it and kept at it and tried it this way and tried it this way and tried it this way. And then it didn't work for 'em.
right. And then and we kind of talked about this last time on one of our episodes or whatever, where, you know, everyone's perception of me or of you is very different than what the reality is. And I think that's true for everybody. Like there are people who are going to listen to this or watch this and are going to be like, ugh, whatever. She lives in California by the beach and she works for all the, you know what I mean? Because everyone has a perception
Yeah.
of what they think your life is like. Now, I'm not sitting here saying I'm, homeless and in the struggle and sad. I'm saying when I look at what my success is and what I want it to be, those are two very, very different things. There's me surviving and doing what I need to do. And yes, if we look at my entire life, I'm successful. But if we look at what I've wanted to do, I haven't even started yet because I can't get there.
Well, yeah, and I think with every kind of, I don't know, step that you take out of your circumstance, naturally your view of what is possible and your vision for what you want expands. Like, we
Yeah.
want that.
Right.
That's natural. And so as you move further up, sort of out of your original circumstances, it's like, okay, I did that, now this,
Well,
and there's like a ceiling
yeah, I mean, I
almost,
would
right?
agree with you, except that the one thing I've always wanted to do has been the same since I was 12. And even before
Yeah.
that, I just remember it more after my mom died, but I've always wanted to be a performer. Always.
Yeah.
It's never changed. You've known that, right? Like, you've gone to some of my rinky dinky theater performances. You've seen my horrible
Critically acclaimed theater performances.
Your what?
I said critically acclaimed
I
theater
mean, you know what I
performances.
mean. Like, I'm just saying, like, you like, my friends have always showed up to all my stuff. So, but I'm, being a performer or doing something like this, hosting or whatever, this is my jam. Like, this is what I want to be doing. And I do it, but I'm not doing it to the extent that I want to be doing it. And I'm doing it
Yeah.
consistently, having, like everyone else, I'm not complaining in that sense. I'm just saying I want people to stop talking about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, because the only people who ever say that are people who've never had to do it.
Yeah.
Never had to do it.
Gotta have some freaking boots to pull yourself up by your
Hey,
bootstraps, bitch.
that's right. It's true. So I'm angry and sad and confused because I don't know what else to do. I know that what I'm doing right now isn't working. And so I'm always a fan of saying, if it's not working, got to change it up. But, I
Yeah.
don't know what my options are because, I'm not going to go steal money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I applied for grants. I applied for a loan. And I even feel like, I know this sounds really pompous. We need what I'm trying to do. And we were talking about this yesterday on the show, kind of, everybody's so angry and upset. I don't know if you saw what happened with Elmo. Did you see what happened with Elmo on X and Twitter? So we were talking
Yeah.
about that yesterday on the show. And it's like, people need a place to start connecting again. And I'm not saying I'm the be all end all of that, but I think that's what's great about All About the Joy and the show and what I'm seeing happening. And people who reach out to me or start watching the show, like, I have to give a shout out to Neil, who is a Facebook friend who came on the show yesterday on the chat. And then he sent me a direct message today. He was saying, he's like, I always love listening I had no idea he was listening to the show. But that's kind of the comments I keep getting. And I feel like there's something here that I love and want to do. And I'm like, yeah, no, but you can't, because, the only way you're going to do it is if, like, I can't not have the money I need to buy the services I need to do it. And you see, it's like a weird chicken egg thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's only so much time in the day, right? Are you going to work 20 hours a day, essentially, job one, and then come and do job two?
But I need the money from job one to keep doing what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Job one is your current funding
right.
source.
And then, we've had this conversation before, like you and I, I get so annoyed by it, but it's like, people just don't seem to understand. Like, no one is asking to cheat. Nobody is asking, look at the student loan thing. We've had this conversation before, and I'm going to say it for the people who might be listening for the first time. I wrote a blog post about this. I posted my bill. I am with Navient, which I have no problem saying they are the loan servicing company that bought my student loans, which I don't even think that was legal. I don't know. But because they were federal loans before, but whatever. I don't know what all that is, but I took out an $18,000 loan to finish going to the University of Vermont, which I graduated from, got grants, worked 30 hours a week, work study, I never went on, what do you call it? Spring break. I never did all these things. I stayed there during the summer, worked. I paid for college. and then asked for an $18,000 loan and got it. I got the 18 and finished college, thankfully, and got my bachelor's degree. Okay. So here's a kid from the hood being successful, I guess, whatever. Right.
Pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, working
Thank
your
you.
butt off, using what was available to you so that, I remember sitting in the financial aid office
Mhm.
where they're like, you need this loan or you can't come back to school.
Right. No, that's what it was.
Okay.
By the way,
okay, give me the loan.
best piece of advice someone ever gave me was do your work study in the financial aid office, which I did for 2 years. So every
Right.
time a grant came by or every time I was like applying for it, even though I didn't get a lot of them, I did get some, you know what I mean? So I started learning how it all worked. So worked my butt off, graduated, got my bachelor's, moved to California, blah, 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 became successful, right? Whatever. I've paid back, I mean, now it's more than what it was, but I think I've paid back like $28,000. So it's an $18,000 loan. I've already paid back like $28,000. I still owe 50 something $1,000 on a student loan. That is predatory. I have done everything you're supposed to do correctly. I have used the system that was in front of me. I have never defaulted on my school loan. I have, you know what I mean? Like when the economy crashed, I let them know and you go into deferment, right? I've never done anything wrong so that I could not be in communication with my loan servicing company. So I'm not an anomaly. I'm not asking for special treatment. That is predatory. That is bad. And you're in the same boat. I mean, it's the same situation.
Yep.
So when we're
It's
talking about
enraging.
forgiveness,
It's enraging and like like so many things, you just feel utterly powerless.
powerless. Yeah. So every month I pay, I think it's $382.17 for I'm going to be paying it till I'm like, and here's the thing. The reason why I posted it on my blog post, Navient, these companies, no offense, because, whatever, they post it on like when you go online and put in your account number, they post that you took out an $18,000 loan, you've paid back $28,000, and there's no shame in it for them. And you still owe 50 something $1,000.
Yeah.
Come on. It's crazy. And look if you can't fix it for me, fine, whatever. I'm not going to be able to pay that off for the rest of my life. I already know that, but you know what's really sad? Your kids, all of our children. I don't have children, but those are my people too, right? We're not getting better at this. We're making it worse to get an education and to pull yourself up by your bootstraps crap.
Yeah.
I know this isn't what we were going to talk about.
Where's the joy, girl?
Where's the joy? You know what the joy is? I'm still here and talking about it. I'm being serious. And you know what? I still have my heart, and I'm still going to have my, I don't want to say faith because people confuse that nowadays. I get it. So I don't want to use the word faith, but I have all this hope, and it's not going to bring me down. I'm going to keep doing what I do.
That's the thing. And I mean, truly, like, not to make a commercial for you, but like, that's the thing to me about this show is like, we always talk about hard stuff, things that are upsetting, whatever, you know what I mean? Like things that are difficult, even what we were just talking about, the way that you handle it versus the way that I handle it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we come back, and I know some people that's a lot more difficult than others. Some people don't come back. Right. But and we have each other. We have the other people that you talk to commiserate with, have a laugh about it, because what else can you do?
Right.
You know what I mean? And we come back to, live to fight another day.
Right. I love, and we're going to keep hope because I got the joy inside me. I really believe it though, but sometimes the struggle is real. Like this just happened. And so this is what I think the show's about too. And again, I'm not trying to make we were going to talk about makeup tips.
I know. What happened to that?
I know, but here's the thing that's interesting is It is because I have so many people. There's no doubt if we weren't going to meet and do this today, what was going to happen, and I mean, people probably can't see that I'm in tears, but my eyes are really watery, is I would have called you because I was so upset about it. And, I mean, I don't want to cry on here, but it's like, it is hard to keep, especially now that I'm in my 50s. Like, all I want to do is something that brings me happiness and helps other people. And I finally figure out a way to do it. And yet I feel like, okay, it's going to be stopped if I don't find a way. Either I'm going to get really sick because I can't keep doing it all, or I'm going to have to stop something. And the problem is, I don't want to stop growing and being this creative person, but I have to pay my rent and my student loans. You know what I mean? It's so
Bring it
funny.
all back. Comes down to
Yeah,
that 300 whatever dollars and however many cents could be going to
$82.50.
somebody else in the
Yeah.
economy, helping another person pay their bills. Come on now.
Yeah, and I'm fine. Look at, even when it comes to that, I'm fine. I'll pay my student loan. Fine, whatever. I don't care anymore. I'll pay it. That's not even, I'm fine. But we got to fix the system for the next generation, or for this generation, or for anybody who is just trying. Education is a really great thing. You know what I mean? You don't have to go to college, but education needs to be something that we give everyone an opportunity to have. You know what I mean? So we can have a society of people that have knowledge and information and the ability to use it.
People that know how to learn. To me, that's the
Yeah.
takeaway, right? You learn how to learn.
Yeah, yeah, so I don't know. So makeup tips, well, we actually weren't gonna talk about makeup tips, but it's so fucking funny. We were gonna talk about, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
You know what? You sent that question.
Yeah.
Like the initial response in my head was, "Don't take out the fucking student loans.
Quit your junior year, right? Just quit. Yeah,
Go
yeah.
to a state school."
Right. You don't need college. No, you know what? I mean, yeah, I don't even know what to say about the do-over, because I've thought about this. I mean, because that bill has haunted me forever. Um, and I hate when I have to pay that bill every month, and I
Yeah,
don't have it on automatic payment because I don't
same.
always pay it on the same. You know what I mean? I pay it
Yeah.
on time, but it depends on when I have money or whatever.
Yep.
Um, because when you work with a little small business that I have, I'm an independent contractor. So sometimes I work a lot and I make money, and sometimes I don't. So um, I feel like for me, it's not that I would change, because I think me going to college, even though I hated the University of Vermont, sorry, everybody knows it's not like a thing I'm hiding, yay, UVM. Unless you want to sponsor us, I love you. Unless you want to wipe out that loan for me, UVM. You know what I mean? I think for me, it was the transition of understanding the world in a much bigger way. Because of the circumstance I grew up in, I feel like all I knew was what I learned on the street. I didn't understand the bigger picture. And I think college was that gateway for me.
Yeah.
Um, so I
I
don't
agree
know. I
with
mean,
that.
I'm sorry?
I said I agree with that. Same for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had traveled a bit before and, moved around a little bit. Also, I saw my mom going to school all through my,
Oh, great. Yeah.
childhood and teens. So there was a clear understanding that that's how you move yourself forward in life.
Mhm.
So I don't regret going to college. I could have probably gotten just as good an education at a much less expensive school.
Right. For
So there's
sure.
that. I'm sure I would have still probably had to take out loans, but they
Right.
wouldn't have been for as much. So, I would never say I wouldn't have gone to college, but
Right. I mean, I think also, it's hard to regret something. Like, that's the thing. If you don't know what you don't know, you can't, like, I did the best I could. And I think
yeah.
that's the thing in my life that is the constant. I do the best I can, every single day so I have no regrets. Do I wish the system was different? Of course I do. Like I wish somebody had said to me, you know what, don't take out that loan, take a year off. I don't know what could have happened, or move to California right now, stay there for a year. But I didn't have anyone to give me that information. And I
Yeah.
don't know if that would have worked,
Yeah.
because even though I graduated from college, it was hard. It was a hard thing for me to do. And I'm not saying I was a horrible student. I was a great student, but I was exhausted, and I was working from a deficit all the time because I was
Yeah.
working. And also educationally, I didn't have the best high school. I didn't have the best education, whatever. So again, you're always, man, this is a depressing video. No, I'm
Well,
just
no, I
saying.
mean, I think your point about, we're all doing the best we can, right? So even
Mhm.
the question, like, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self? It's like, okay, well, I can easily look back on that and see, what I would tell my own kids, but like, all right, I know you went down this road and that was probably not a great idea. So maybe you could go down, but when I was 20, I was just doing the best I could with the
Yeah.
information that I had.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like, if I think about the trajectory of my life, I feel like that's what I do every single day. You just do the best you can, and you deal with it as best you can, and you do try to find the positivity in it, because there is no other choice for me. Like, I don't need to be depressed about getting rejected for a loan or getting rejected for whatever. I can't be depressed about it. I can be depressed about it for like, a day. I'm gonna give it a good day and I'm gonna cry about it or whatever. But then you have to be able to brush yourself off, get back up, and walk through it. And that part does get easier. Not
Yeah.
not the initial pain, but being able, like, I've done this so many times now, being rejected, that getting up is not the hard part,
Yeah. Yeah.
for me.
You know what you're capable of, right? Like, I think there's just it's a knowing yourself better. It's like, all right, like you said, you know how you're going to process this.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt at
Right.
all. It just means like, all right, I still got to get up and take care of myself and make dinner and, do all of these things. So I'm going to give myself this time.
I just
And
think it's
then,
weird because I try never to compare myself to other people, but it's so hard not to see the wastefulness of how other people take for granted the luxury of having financial resources. I know plenty of people who are great musicians and actors and artists who I know, no matter what they do, they just can't get their foot in the door. Like, it's not just me
yeah,
I'm upset about. Like, I'm just having a moment because this happened. But I think if I were to tell myself something 20 years ago, like, if there was a couple of things I could change about my ability, my confidence level as a 20-year-old is nothing compared to what it is today. Like, I wish I believed that I was really beautiful when I was in my 20s, right? Like, because clearly I think I am now. No, but I'm just saying, like when I look back on pictures and I look back and I remember that I thought I was ugly or too fat. The too fat one is really incredible when I look back at when I'm 20, which is, that's all societal, whatever. But just even, and I'm going to share this with you. I know you know this, but back in the day, I worked for a whole bunch of guys in a financial office, and they were the reason why I ended up going to college. They're wonderful men, whatever. And I'm not in touch with them as much anymore, but I know how to find them if I needed them or whatever. And they're good people. And they were a big reason why I ended up going to college, and UVM specifically. But years later, I found out that one of the hottest guys there, who was married at the time and everybody was in love with or whatever, had a crush on me and really liked me or whatever. You know what I mean? And I found that out years later after he got divorced and remarried. You know what I mean? And I remember being upset, not with that I would have ever dated or been interested in a guy who was, you know what I mean, married or whatever, because that was never my vibe. But if I had known that someone of that stature liked me, I always wonder how that would have changed my ego if I had really believed or known that. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and so I think that's what I would have told or would have wished for my 20-year-old self to know, to have that confidence of it's not just a physical thing though, but that's a big part of how we get a lot of confidence. If you think you're nothing and you think you're, you're beneath other people because they're better than you and they would, but if you think a guy would date you because he finds you fascinating and he's like, this in your head on this pedestal, a wealthy guy and, so well educated and a professional, that would have changed everything for me as a kid from the ghetto. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
So I think that's what I would have told myself.
Yeah. I guess my big one, other than not taking out the loans, would be like, just spend this next 10 years, your 20s, working on yourself, right? Like we all have everybody, no matter what your circumstances were, everybody comes out of childhood with some level of like fucked upness, let's say,
Right.
right?
Right.
And we're all kind of, well, maybe not all, but we'll work through it kind of in our own timeline, in our own ways. And I think I just like put it away and was like, let me just run full force into relationships and school and work. Like I always worked. I've worked since I was 13 years
Yep.
old.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because I wanted to like be an adult and have my own money and all of it. And it's like, I wish I could have just chilled out and been like, just work on yourself, work through all of that stuff now so that you can actually, my words I was going to say is like, be good at
Right.
the other things when the time comes, as opposed to semi working through all of it in the midst of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
But the boy
I
thing is
just went through a lot
hard.
of trouble and heartache in my 20s that I think I didn't need to.
I know, but I think that's hard because that's what you do when you're like being in love is what you do in your 20s.
I'm like that, but other aspects too, right? I was just always like running towards something rather than like sitting back and trying to work on myself.
Okay, be more specific because I think it's too vague. Like what would you say is a great example? Like what were you running towards?
Like almost kind of what you're talking about, like a different level. Like I knew the life that I wanted.
Mm,
And so I was always like I said, I always worked. I mean, I had to work, right? Like in
right.
order, but like even through college and all of those kinds of things, like I was working full time. It wasn't part time. I didn't work at college. Like I worked a full-time job
Mhm.
and went to college on the side. And Jesus Christ, for the amount of loans I took, I could have just like, not worked, right? Like just I don't know. I just felt like I didn't have the guidance, like you said, of someone to be like, just like calm down. It will all
Right.
come if you just maybe try to take it all a little bit slower.
But is it true that it will all come? I mean, I guess that's the question, right? I mean,
Yeah, I guess that is the question, right? Who knows? Who knows what it would have been? But I just, when I look back on it, I just feel like I wish that I had taken more time trying to figure myself out. It's like seriously
yeah.
on a serious level.
I mean, I love that. I don't think I figured myself out just yet. I'm like, have I figured
Well,
myself
yeah, I
out?
mean, I don't think it's a work in progress, but I think I just really kind of rejected looking at all of that in order to be in relationships and, be in school. I was in school till I was like 30 whatever years old. Like I just was like, I do school. That's what I do. You know what I mean? And so
But you also loved school, which I
I
thought that
did
was
love
weird.
school.
Yeah,
That is
you
true.
loved it, which
It
was
was a
weird.
good match for me. I would be a professional student if I could.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of the other part of it too, eh? And I'm sorry to bring this up, but you also became a teacher.
Yeah.
And then that didn't work out because it just didn't even pay enough money. Like, that's so weird. I mean, I don't know if that's why it didn't work out for you, but I just remember you were so excited because you do love school or whatever. And then you were teaching for a while, and then you were like, yeah, I can't do this no more.
Now, I mean, it wasn't really the money, to be honest. It
Okay.
wasn't really
All
the
right.
money. It
Fair.
was just, I mean, it's like, I don't even want to say this on a recorded
Oh,
conversation,
we don't have to talk about
but
it then. We can move
no,
on.
it's a really, really difficult profession. And
Yeah.
I wasn't up to it. I'll just be honest. Like, it was just really intense in a way that I was not prepared for. And it, in my experience, not focused on teaching.
Right. But you were also working in LA
Yeah,
Unified. But
yeah.
I
There was
I
just
hear
a
you.
lot of other things that were really important. So it was like I went to school and learned how to do all this stuff, and then I can't do any of that. In fact, I'm like
Right.
specifically required not to do the things I was taught to
Right.
do. It was a hot mess.
Yeah. And I think that's, another part of it too is that's disappointing, right? I mean, because you do love school. When you were becoming a teacher, I remember when you got your first classroom or whatever. I just remember I was at Brand New School at the time or whatever. Brand New School is not a school. Sorry. I don't want to confuse people. It's a company I worked at that's a motion graphics company and branding company, whatever. But you got your first classroom. You were so excited. And then I remember when you had to move on from that and how sad it was. And I thought to myself, like, see, even when you try to do something you're good at and that you love and whatever, it still doesn't work out, And
Yeah, that was hard. That was really, I was very depressed. I moved away. Remember? That's when
yeah.
I left. I was like, fuck this. I'm leaving.
So, what do you think is the most brilliant, joyful thing? Okay, this is going to be a hard question, but that you have done since your 20s, as far as like, we know what we would tell ourselves or what we would do to make our 20s better. What do you think is the most brilliant lesson or thing or joyful thing about everything you have learned? Is that a weird question? It's probably not very precise.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the obvious question is like, I had my kids, but that, I mean, and that is,
Mhm.
whatever, but I'm not going to say that.
I love your kids. They're my godchildren. Blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
my
Yeah.
kids are great and they bring me a lot of joy, like, but not on a daily basis.
We love the kids. Okay, minus the kids and
But
whatever.
no, yeah, minus the kids, I would say, like, I have been really brave a lot of times, and I just referenced it, like moving away. I know, people in my life have mixed feelings about that, but
I don't.
and I didn't say you, I just said
Oh,
people.
people.
Um,
Your mother?
I just remember, so like I moved to London after the
Yep,
whole teaching
yep.
situation, right? And I just remember being there and walking the streets and feeling like literal joy. It was like, I can't believe I did this.
Yeah.
I am such a badass. I love it here. Like, I just felt so filled up with myself. You know what I mean? It was just a really great
And you
feeling.
stayed. You stayed for how long?
I stayed as long as I could. I ran out of money. I didn't have like a job, so I don't know. I don't know exactly how long, but and then I came back and I moved away again
To
to
DC, right?
DC, which I
Mhm.
did not have that same feeling about, but I still feel like
Why did you choose DC again? I never
I got a
understood
job
that.
there. I
Oh,
had a
that's
friend
right.
who gave me a job.
That's right.
Um,
I remember. I remember now. Got it.
yeah, but I still had that sense of like courage and bravery in myself. Like, I'm gonna, I can pick up and I can move at any time. And I still feel
Mhm.
that way. My life is not
Right,
arranged like that, but I could do it if I
right.
wanted to. If I really was like, all right, like I don't have any fear of doing something. And you've done it too, you know what I mean? But
Oh yeah, I don't. I mean, I wouldn't say for me it's bravery though. I think for you it is bravery. I think you. I mean, I know you well enough, and I think for you it is brave. People confuse my ability to pick up and move, or go, like I moved out here, or I moved to Vermont to go to college, which is really a weird anomaly from where I grew up, and or to travel or do whatever. but I'm very, what's the word? I don't want to say conservative because I'm not, but I prepare everything. Like it's not brave. People think it's brave, but I have put everything in place so that there's no way I could fail. So when I moved out to California, I didn't know anybody, but I had, $800 in my pocket and a round trip ticket home. If I needed to go back to stay in Vermont, it wasn't even home, but it was, the people I'd been living with in Vermont at the time.
Yeah.
And I had a few different places here that I could stay that were kind of friends of a friend couch. And then I found like this person whose home needed to be house sat, one of those deals. And that was great because then that's how I got my first job. But if any of that had failed, I would have just gone back home and it still would have seemed like a win for most people. But I wouldn't say for me it's brave. But then the next word out of people's mouths is, oh, yes, it was. Everything you've done is brave. Because it goes back to everyone's perception.
Yeah.
What would be brave right now would be for me to have enough money to keep doing this thing. Like, I think this is brave, right? To try to create something that we don't have so that people can find a place to have joy and it's not even about joy because that just sounds crazy, but I mean a place where people can come together and hang out for an hour once a week. It would be great if we could do it twice a week or whatever, and just have a place where you could just chit chat. It's not an interview show. It's not a show that, you know what I mean? Kind of hanging out in the neighborhood, which is the concept of All About the Joy, so that we can start having these connections again, so that we can start having these, I think that's what we're losing a lot of, are these ability to have conversations with each other about real things. And being live and seeing each other's faces and being able to cry with each other or laugh with each other or, and to me, the bravery things I've done are things that I'm trying to do on my, I think writing my book and putting it out there, I think that was brave. And
Yeah.
I'm still not sure how I feel about it, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't meant to be a book, but I would love to be able to write I have 2 books I want to write, All About the Joy, which would be more about how to deal with these circumstances on a regular basis and how I walk through them with, kind of different chapters based on kind of the Prophet, the book, The Prophet, kind of that thing, like I want to do that. And I also want to write the second book to Canela, which we already have the name for it. But when am I supposed to do that?
Yeah.
But I think, see, to me, those are me taking moments to try to be brave, learning how to edit Audacity and learning how to edit movie clips, learning how to do like, to me, that's the brave stuff. But all the things that people confuse and try to make me out to be something more than what I am, all of that was so well orchestrated on my part. I give myself credit. And it's different to do things based on survival. I mean, the reason why I moved to California is because I knew there was no way I was going to survive if I went back to JP, where I grew up in Boston. There was no way. You know what I mean? And I always wanted to live in Hollywood anyway. But when you have to do things from survival, that's instinctual. So you prepared as best you can. You do what you got to do. But, every time I try to leap and I just keep falling on my damn face, I think that's brave. And I get back up, wipe the tears away. I don't know. I didn't mean to, squash what you were saying. I'm just saying for me, see, I'd go to Europe, which I'm actually going in, I'm going to Scotland and Ireland in 2025 with Cynthia. Well, that's going to be that's me taking a trip. That's not me being brave.
Yeah, I just wing it. That's like even when we moved there, we didn't have a place to live. Like, it was just like, all right, we're just going to go and see what happens.
But you know me well enough. I am not.
No, I would never try to wing it with you on a vacation.
I am not that person on anything. What else do I wing? I don't wing nothing. What do I wing?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I am the most organized person. I got a schedule. I keep to it. It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. I mean, but people's perception is very different. I think that's with everyone though.
Yeah. You can't, I mean, unless you're really like in someone's life, your perception is always going to be off of what's really going on with them, you know?
Yeah. But I think part of having a perception and then thinking that that's the real person is part of the problem we have with our society and social media. That's part of the problem. We put people up on a pedestal, and then the minute they make a mistake, they are the dirt, they are horrible, they're whatever, and then people like last night we were talking about Mr. Rogers. And I made the comment, if Mr. Rogers was alive today, we would have found a way to make him out to be a horrible human being. Somebody would have. And people are like, no, not Mr. I'm like, no, they would have. And then people were like, yeah, they would have said he was a predator or he was a whatever. They would have.
Yeah.
Because we're in this place in our society where we are so ugly ourselves with our own yuckiness, and we don't know how to express. Like me being on camera and telling everyone that I got denied a loan like, was not in the game plan. It wasn't. But a part of me feels like maybe people need to understand that there is actually a real person behind whatever you think the perception is. And I know I'm nobody. I'm just talking to a few people who go watch or listen to the show. But it is that kind of thing that we keep doing to people like Oprah, or because we're seeing them as actual human beings, right? Like they have flaws. Doesn't mean she's a horrible human being. She's done a lot of good in the world, But
Yeah.
no one can let go of the 2 or 3 things that they've decided are the monumental thing that make Oprah who she is, and she has to be vile, or whoever it is. We can pick anybody. Tom Hanks is my favorite. I don't think that man has done anything wrong, and somehow there are people on the right who just keep vilifying him for just existing. I love Tom Hanks, so I'm just saying. And I love Oprah too. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how we can fix it. All I know is this little show helps people, regular people, to hang out a little bit. And I kind of love that. Is that weird?
That's what we do, right? I mean, that's what we talked about, is like, this is just it's what happens if you bump into your neighbor on the stoop or in the hallway or whatever. You have a comfort, like, probably not, like you're saying, not so much anymore, but this is what you want it to be. Like, let's just talk. Let's just chit chat,
I think I was saying yesterday too, like I had a little moment, revelation, is that the word? Where I realized, like, oh my God, people need the show so much. It's not just the show, it's the ability to come on and chat and listen to happiness or ways to get through it. Like, yeah, I got denied a loan today and I'm sad about it and I'm bummed and I don't know what I'm going to do, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to move forward anyways,
Yeah.
So what about the makeup tips though, girl?
Here's what I tell my girls: put down the tweezers.
Wait, what do you mean tweezers? Are they tweezing?
No, they're not tweezing. That's because I'm freaking militant about it. All of the tweezing that happened in the 90s, and now like the eyebrows are gone. These are drawn in, obviously, but so yeah, leave your brows alone. Whatever you do to your face in terms of like skincare, make sure you do to your neck, your chest, your hands, maybe even your shoulders.
Shoulders, yeah.
Those are my tips.
Yeah, well, this came about too because I was bothered because my eyebrows aren't really painted on, although I'm getting better at filling them in. So here's an interesting thing. When I was in Color Guard and Drum Corps, well, Color Guard mostly, and dancing, they tweezed my eyebrows because I had unibrow.
Uh-huh.
And they did it to do the makeup. And I never questioned. I didn't care. I didn't care about costumes, makeup, anything. I didn't care. I just wanted to perform. That's it. I just assumed everybody else would take care of everything else. You know what I mean? And but I think because of that, like I don't have really any eyebrows. And then I was asking you, like, how do you make your eyebrows look so good? Like, and then you told me that you paint them on. What is it?
Yeah. Well, it's a pencil.
It's a pencil.
I used to have really big, thick eyebrows, but in the 90s, as happened, they just turned into a little line.
Oh, because everybody was doing just the one line.
Everyone was doing the line, and I mean, like, I had really thick eyebrow, too thick for sure, but you know what I mean? So, like, I did a little bit of tweezing, and then 90s rolled around and tweezed them all out, so now I have to, like, fill them in every day. So that's why I told the girls, I was like, you will not tweeze your eyebrows. If you feel like you want to tweeze your eyebrows, I will actually take you somewhere to get your eyebrows done so that you don't mess them up.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I just remembered this, and now I think they're too far apart, but it won't grow in. It doesn't
Yeah.
grow, it's not gonna grow in. Like, and I think that's what you're telling them is not to do that because you mess
Like,
with
just
the
leave
line.
them alone. They're fine. They're
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah. My only thing with skincare, especially when I was younger, because people always would talk about my skin or whatever. And well, yeah, first of all, a lot of it is genetics, like that's just part of it, number one. And then number two, it's kind of this thing where you just need to moisturize on a regular basis and understand you can't use it all the time based on the seasons. You know what I mean? Like when winter comes and how you eat or how you drink changes, what you're doing to the inside of your body is what's going to happen on your face and on your skin. I mean, that's the only piece of advice I've ever given everyone is just make sure you have different creams for different seasons, and stop being worried about somebody else's skin situation because a lot of it is genetics. There's no
I would say
miracle
most of
cream.
it is genetics, as long as you're doing the basics, right? Like washing your face and moisturizing and putting on sunscreen. The rest of it is out of your control, really.
Yeah, it is. And that doesn't mean you can't get help. Like if you have acne or whatever, that's a whole different ball game. But like this idea that somehow there's a magic, here it is. This is what I use all the time.
Well,
And
or the one that I love, like you see it on, wherever. It's like, pick your favorite star, right? Like whoever, like Jennifer Aniston loves this moisturizer, and it's like,
right, Aveeno is her thing. Yeah.
well, what does that have to do with me? Like, I don't know what's going on with her skin. Like, I don't care if she loves it.
Right.
Anne Hathaway uses this cuticle oil. And like,
Cuticle oil. Right.
I don't want to throw out, I'm just saying, like, they always have like some celebrity's name. And first of all, like, how do you know if they actually love it? Whatever. That's dumb. And then like, she uses this to keep her skin so she doesn't have to use Botox or whatever. And it's like,
oh, that's lying though.
that's a lie. Whatever it is though, it's like, right, whatever's happening with that person's skin has nothing to do with me because my skin, my situation, what I eat, my genetics, all of that are completely different. Like that's the kind of stuff every time I see it, I just like, people
cringe.
fall for that and buy it. And,
Well, that's marketing and advertising. I mean, and that's all the influencers on TikTok,
Yeah.
The only thing I think is good is that you can learn about products that you might want to try, but don't believe that somebody is doing something and that's why their skin looks that way, right? So,
especially celebrities, because they're doing all kinds of other stuff.
Oh, for sure. I mean, for sure. And,
that you
I've
probably
told
can't
people,
afford.
yeah, most of us can't afford it. But I've told people I do Botox. And so like I can't afford it right now. So you could see I have the wrinkles up here, whatever. But I'll do Botox once in a while. But I just started doing that years ago. It wasn't like I've been doing it since I was 12. You know what I mean? And I do it mostly for this, right? That's where I get the Botox really. And you can see it's coming back. So you can always tell when I don't go regularly. Usually you go like every 3 months or whatever, because it's too expensive. But like I'll do it, especially like I'm going to be traveling. So if I can afford to do it, I'm going to do it. But you're talking about like $400.
Yeah.
That's my student loan payment, baby. Like, see, that's why
damn student loans are interfering with your Botox.
It's interfering with my Botox, though. I mean, like, I'll just do it once in a while because for me, that's a little bit of the self-care. And if I can afford it and it's a little thing that's going to boost my spirits, because as much as I don't mind getting older, this crease that happens here all the time bothers me.
Yeah, we all have our things, right? Like I haven't done, I haven't done the Botox yet, but I just have had like laser treatments and stuff like that.
You've had laser?
Yeah, just basic. Like,
what do you mean, like basic? You never told
I don't
me
even know, like just a regular like IPL or whatever. They just.
I don't even know what the hell that is. Wait, you mean liposuction?
No, God, no. Like, surgery. Isn't liposuction like surgery?
I don't know. I'm not. That's never gonna happen.
No,
Never
I'm
gonna
not.
do it.
I'm not doing
Never
like
gonna do
voluntary
surgery
surgery.
stuff. Okay, wait. What's the laser?
Lasers are just like do like a laser on your face, and
Wait, you mean
you
like a
can.
facial?
Yeah, well, it's more. It's like extra, right? It's not a facial. It's like a facial treatment, right? But it's like depending on the strength or whatever. I guess if you get one really, if you do like a really strong one, that costs a lot of money, like thousands of dollars, and your skin peels off and all of that kind of stuff. But if you just do like a basic, it's just kind of like a, a flush, right? And that depending on the type of laser, you can do like dark spots or wrinkles or whatever, but it's not, you know, it's not
Like,
super
will the
strong.
laser take care of that? That's a dark
I
spot.
don't, maybe. I don't know.
Look at that's a dark spot. Oh,
But is
maybe
that
I
like
need
a
to.
permanent dark spot?
No, that's because I had a huge zit,
Okay. Well,
and
then no.
and yeah, okay, all right. So I should do a. Is it very expensive, the laser thing?
I think I have done it a few times and it's like under $1,000.
Oh my god, that's not a facial.
I
That's
know,
the
that's what I'm
real
saying. It's
laser.
not a facial. It's a treatment, but like, some people do it, like you said, like Botox or whatever, every couple of months or what. I've had it a couple of times.
I don't know. I think the laser's a much bigger deal, sis. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know about the laser. That's cool. You know what? I mean, again, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
I don't mind learning what people do because that's how we learn things, right? That's the whole thing about marketing and advertising. But what I don't like is what you're saying is when people say the reason why I have this good skin
Right? You're
is
like,
because
this $12 serum. It's like,
and what kills me is when they say, and they're like, first of all, I never put on anything like this. Is there any product that you put on where you're like, or they do this? No. Okay. So right there, the whole half
I
the
do
bottle. Oh my
this.
God.
I do this.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're acting and they're like, it just helps with all the wrinkles. I'm like, bitch, that's Botox. Stop telling me that this little
I
serum
just drink a lot of water.
that comes in this. I drink a lot of water and I work out every day.
I drink a lot of water. I chase my kids around.
Right. So let me tell everybody what this is. This is really good for your lips, and you can really apply it on a regular basis, and it gives you this really moisture, beautiful lip. And I use it and I believe in it so much. And it is, wait for it, Vaseline. It's not even the name brand. It's like petroleum jelly from CVS. It's not even
Oh
the
my
name.
God.
And wait,
See,
and
I
you
was
know
all hyped you were gonna get a sponsorship. I don't think
No.
CVS
Oh, wait.
petroleum jelly is gonna give you a sponsorship.
And this little thing I have, I stole from like Sephora, not Sephora, like a Ulta. It's the makeup jar, the little jars they use to put stuff in. I stole it. Sorry, I didn't mean to. And then I put the little Vaseline for my lips. I wouldn't take a sponsorship though for something like that. I wouldn't, unless it's something I actually use. But
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're using it. I was like, all right, here we go. Sponsorship lunch.
petroleum
That's
jelly.
it. It's shiny. It's moisturizing.
Yeah, no, I don't know, but then I would be doing the same thing. See, I couldn't do that. I'm just being honest. I couldn't do it. I don't want to push that on people, but I could certainly, with no problem, promote some other stuff. We just have to have the right thing, stuff that I really believe in, like I don't know, joy. Yeah, who's going to pay me for that? Which is why I got denied the loan. Clearly, we don't know how to bottle that, Carmen.
No, not yet.
I do. All right. Well, we're at the hour mark. Thank you so much, Andrea, for being here. I appreciate it. This is kind of a fun conversation. So
good to see you.
Good to see you too. So yeah, we'll catch you next time. Everyone, thank you for stopping by, and we'll catch you next time on All About the Joy. Bye. Thanks for stopping by All About the Joy. Be better and stay beautiful, folks. Have a sweet day.